Okay, today we will have introduction, personal information and general information, key ideas, part 2, some advices to get better score, and part 3. My name is Ms.Nozima and I have prepared this presentation for you, for students who are gonna take their IELTS official exam. So here we will be familiar more with the speaking section, and I did my best to make everything clear for all of you, and I hope you like this. I got IELTS band 6, and my about sections I got 6 from listening, from reading I got 6, writing 6.5, and 6 speaking 6. And then I'm a student of Silk Road International University of Tourism, and I have also finished a speaking course which is conducted by British Council. Okay, and in introduction, we know that many students, those who are preparing for the IELTS official exam, have got some problems with their speaking, right? Because they fail to express their ideas and they have kind of hesitation, which makes them to doubt about their knowledge, and they really find it hard whether they are able to just answer to the questions correctly or not, right? So here we have kind of general information about IELTS speaking test. So IELTS speaking test is kind of an interview with a trained examiner that lasts between 11 and 14 minutes. The interview will be recorded, and the speaking is even more personal than writing, and it can be kind of difficult for you to express your own ideals, and which can make you feel more anxious, right? In this part, the examiner's responsibility is to give you to put you at ease. So they also have to give you kind of opportunity to answer more clearly and to check your speaking ability. So for the part 1, you need to answer for the questions which you are familiar with, like where are you from, how old are you, where you come from, and this kind of things. For the part 2, you are giving a topic to talk about for 2 minutes and answer following up question, and there will be question and also follow-up question which you need to follow them and answer to them. And for the part 3, you answer broad and more general questions based on the part 2. I mean, your questions will be related to part 2 and even more challenging, and because it will be abstract questions. You need to talk about abstract issues and ideas, right? So many have got some problems with speaking. It's because they have got 3 main issues with their speaking skill. The first one is key misunderstanding about the test, and the lack of awareness of language problem, and the lack of opportunities to practice, because they don't always practice and they have some problems while they are in an official exam. The next one is key ideas. While you are speaking, try to avoid memorizing written language. It's because if the examiner will notice that you are using memorized language, he will just interrupt you and ask any kind of other question to be sure whether you have got your natural speech or not. Okay, and some people may advise you to use advanced vocabularies or kind of complex sentences while speaking, and it also makes your speech more unnatural, because the examiner wants you to speak in a natural way, and you always need to be honest while you are speaking, okay? So in all parts of the test, clear communication is a key point, right? So speaking too quickly will make your speech more unclear. So it's kind of difficult for the examiner to just understand what you are saying about, what you are talking about. Therefore, try to speak in a clear way, okay? And coherence in speaking relates your ability to connect your ideas together, so that the examiner will understand what you are speaking, and it can be kind of clear to understand your speech, and the examiner may easily follow to them. And you also need to record your voice, and again write down the what you have said at the same time can just help you to avoid your problems like the hesitations or repetition problems. Okay, and building your vocabulary and make sure that you are using new vocabularies or new points as much as possible. Okay, if you are not able to answer to all of the questions, kind of broadly topics, if you don't have any kind of specific vocabularies for each topic, you may fail to answer to the questions of the examiner. For the part 2, you need to answer for about 2 minutes to the given topic and the following questions. Here you also need to pay attention on your grammar and fluency, vocabulary and fluency, cohesion, referencing, and repetition. Repetition as well. So, in order to be ready for this part, you always need to record your voice and listen your answers. Because if you listen for your answers, you may have kind of clear idea that you have made mistake to this part, or you need to use any kind of options to make your speech more clear or better. If you have got any other ideas, you also need to record the same answer. Okay, then you will have more better speech while practicing for part 2. So grammar and fluency can give you better understanding, you have kind of problems similar to those in your writing. For the vocabulary and fluency, you need to make sure whether you have got flexible speech, flexible vocabularies to talk to any kind of questions. And if you notice that you are struggling to talk to any kind of question, and cohesion, is it easy to follow your ideas or not? You need to identify this. And can you connect your ideas or not? It's also important to pay attention. And referencing, when you recount a story, it should be always clear who you are talking about or when something has happened. Okay, so for the repetition part, you need to pay attention whether you are overusing the same words or kind of connectors like and, so, because, and etc. and etc. And there are some advice to get better score. Please don't invent stories. This can make you less fluent. Try to just speak in a natural way. And repeat tasks so that you can improve and build your language and skills. It means that you always, if you have finished some kind of particular book to improve your speaking skills or vocabulary, lexical resource, you don't need to just finish it for once. You always need to repeat it in order to just remember those vocabularies which you have learned, okay? To be more fluent. And try to work with your partner. If you don't have any kind of partner to speak, you fail to just prepare at a better score. It's because, for example, you have learned some new vocabularies and you don't have any kind of people to just practice, you know. And apart from that, practice answering the question on a wide variety of topics. Make sure you have something to say. Yes, there can be some kind of abstract question which you fail to answer even in your native language, right? You always have to be ready for this kind of question and make sure that you have this kind of questions and you need to be ready for them as well. So in the test, try to be friendly and answer all of the questions fully. It means that whenever you are at the interview, so you may have kind of hesitation or you may have kind of doubt that whether you are able to answer to those questions or not. In this case, you always have to think that you are kind of helping for the examiner to give this kind of interview. You are not a candidate. I mean, so Always react naturally to the question. If you didn't understand what the examiner is asking from you, you have a right to ask him to make it more clear or rephrase this question in order not to answer to any kind of other question, right? So listen well so that you answer appropriately with a range variety of tenses. It means that let's imagine the examiner asked you to ask you something by using past tenses, and you are using present tense to answer to that question, and you will be really out of topic, and it can decrease your score. Always pay attention on tenses. In the part 3 of the speaking test, the examiner will ask further questions which are related to the part 2. But the question will be more abstract and kind of abstract issues and abstract ideas, and this kind of question, it can be kind of challenging for you to answer because the time which is given for you can be even more. Like you need to answer to those questions for about 4 or 5 minutes. You need to finish, part 3 for about 4 and 5 minutes. And you always also need to be ready for the part 3 as well. While answering, you need to use kind of expressions, linking words, and some kind of examples, real examples and conclusion to your speech. This kind of short essay. There is a quote of Jensen Xiao. Instead of spending the time being bothered by the thing that you cannot control, invest your time and energy in creating the results you desire. It means that we may spend our time with our friends, or we may just surf on the internet aimlessly, and it can be a kind of wasting of time for us, right? Instead, you need to always practice, you need to work on your mistakes and everything which can give you more opportunity to get better score. I hope you like that, and thank you for your attention.